Court is now in session on the Final Verdict TV.
Morning. You may be seated. Okay. So first we have case number 0201, Miss Greer versus Miss Everett. Present, please step up to the podium, please.
Alrighty.
Good morning. Okay.
Good morning.
So let's see. All right. So here's Miss Greer. I see you are claiming for wrongful termination, seeking $72,000, which is your salary that you missed out on. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And I do see here, Miss Everett, you have a counterclaim for $5,000 for court costs and attorney consultation fees, correct?
Yes, Your Honor. That's correct.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead. Miss Greer, what's going on? Go ahead.
Your Honor, I have been an educator for 30 years. Most recently, I've been an educator at Washington High, which is a high school very near and dear to my heart. I graduated from that school. One of my students for this past year has been a young man by the name of Mark Fletcher. I was recently terminated, Your Honor, and it is a great grief of mine to me because I have devoted my life and my career to educating students, shaping their minds, instilling values and principles of honesty and integrity while I teach pre-calculus. That's the course that I teach, Judge. I was terminated because I refused to change this one student's grades so that he could get better grades and get into the university that his parents wanted him to get into. That's basically it.
Okay. Let me make sure I'm understanding this correctly. You were terminated because you refused to give a student a better grade than what they deserved.
Yes, Judge. He was in my class. He was doing okay, but he actually had to apply himself. And I explained to my students, you cannot use AI and turn in material, assignments and use AI and expect to do well in my course. He evidently did. And yet he did not perform well when it came time to take tests. His parents didn't like the grades I gave him. They expected him to beef up his grades somehow without having him actually apply himself and earn the grades that warranted the better grades that they wanted him to have.
Okay. And you mind telling me what subject do you teach?
So I'm teaching pre-calculus, or at least I was teaching pre-calculus, Judge. I'm not employed at the moment.
Pre-calculus. That's a hard class. Then I didn't do too well in that one.
It's a difficult course, and the students, I tell them, listen, AI is a beautiful thing. There was a time when students could get a little help from the internet. And you could see that they were getting a little help from the internet, but they still had to study and learn and earn their grade. Now, the AI will do every step you need it to do. You can click on a little thing, and it'll just make it easy for you. I tell my students, the best computer is in between your ears. It's your brain. You have to study to show yourself approved. What does this child want to do? He would get 100 on his homework consistently, and his parents were complaining to me because he was getting D's and F's when it came time for him to take a test. And they didn't understand why that was. And I had to explain to them, your child is at home fooling with AI the way I told him not to. I have explained to my students that in the field of law, Judge, I know you know this, and I have a lot of friends who are in the field of law. Apparently, ChatGPT has been getting a lot of lawyers in trouble. They use it for their legal research, or say they do, and they cite all these fake cases, and they're getting referred to the bar, and they're getting their licenses suspended, and they're getting publicly humiliated by judges just like Your Honor because they have basically cheated. And then he goes to take my test, And that's where the wheels fall off.
Okay. Yeah, I wish some of our attorneys need to hear that computer between your head instead of Chat GPT, because there's a little bit too much of that going on. All righty, but let's see here. Now, Miss Everett.
Hi, Your Honor.
Now, Miss Greer said she was wrongfully terminated because she refused to give a student a better grade. But you stated that she wasn't. It was for misconduct. Give me an explanation for her termination, please.
Right. So Ms. Greer has been great, but since I was appointed principal last year, there's just some changes that we've been trying to implement. I first and foremost want to say that my focus is on the student's future. And sometimes that requires eliminating some of our team members that are not aligned with our vision here at the school at Washington High. While Ms. Greer is lovely on a personal note, I do feel that she is a bit too rigid when it comes to students. At the end of the day, we have to take into consideration their life circumstances and maybe not always be black and white. At sometimes there's things in their lives and other factors that we have to take into account when making a judgment on that student.
Okay. Now, I do understand that there are times to be taken into account, but we're talking math. Math is black and white. So I don't see the issue. And the school's values, she's not aligned with the school value. What values is she not aligning with?
Well, since I started, my mission has always been to implement the children's future first. So we have to listen to everyone and take into account how different students learn differently, right? As she mentioned, Mr. Fletcher is a wonderful young man. He's beloved by all his peers. But ultimately, if it costs him a little more with math, I think there should have been special attention paid to him and not necessarily just dismissed him and told him, oh, you get D's and F's, you're a DNF student. That's not the vision I see for the children. If you get D's and F's, we have to pull you aside, ask you why, take into account his family's a wonderful family. They donate right every year to make sure our school gets funded. Then we have a beautiful new library because of this Fletcher family. So while I'm not for favoritism, I do think that certain circumstances we have to take into account, okay, is this a bad kid or is he in a bad circumstance? And what can we do in that circumstance? And I don't believe Ms. Greer is doing anything about that.
Okay, so the family donates a lot and don't sound like he's in such a bad circumstance of just his parents can donate to a library. But let's see, Miss Greer.
Yes, Judge.
Did you offer Mr. Fletcher any assistance or speak with him or his parents about his grading?
Judge, that's an excellent question. I'm glad you asked me that, because it just so happens that this school, as many schools do, this school has a learning management system. I have told my students in person, live and in person, that if they have any questions whatsoever, that they should let me know. They can tell me that in person when they come to me in my classroom, or they can message me through the learning management system. I've also given them my personal phone number, which a lot of my peers don't do, but I love my students. I don't mind their calling and reaching out to me because I want to build that rapport. I know what it's like to have a teacher from whom you are alienated and who you don't want to reach out to. This student did not reach out for help. In the learning management system, I posted content that I curated personally to make sure that it was helpful for my students, to make sure that they understood the materials that they had to understand. I am uploading information throughout the year to the learning management system to make sure that my students are fully equipped to succeed in my class, while also making myself available with office hours, making my phone number available. They can email me, they can message me. Judge, I happened to, in preparation for this hearing, I looked into the learning management system to see how many times Mr. Fletcher actually looked into the content that I uploaded for his benefit. And in the course of the 9 months that I was teaching him, he checked 3 times. He looked at the content that I provided 3 different times. And then he looked through to the learning management system only 3 times to help himself. And then he reached out to me only in response to my reaching out to him to say, hey, I noticed you got a D on this test, let's talk. And I did my best to make sure that he understood how I graded, what points I deducted for what failures, because you've got to show your reasoning, you've got to show the process. But his parents weren't satisfied with this. He's at the towards the tail end of his junior year. All of a sudden, this became a big issue, and all of a sudden, I get, a visit from the parents who, in a very sort of sinister way, make a point to tell me that they're friends with Ms. Everett, and how important it is for me to make sure that their kids' grades improve. And I didn't understand that, but that's what happened.
Okay. Miss Everett, you close with the parents?
We've become closer since I joined the school, yes. But that's not to say that Ms. Greer is completely off by addressing the fact that the kid should have come to her. After multiple attempts, if you see that this kid is not reaching out, this student, there should have been more things done to try to help him. I do believe that in the future, there should be personalized learning. And clearly the student was not given enough attention to be in a classroom where he could excel. Okay. And that's why Ms. Greer was let go.
Okay. Miss Everett, we are talking about high school students.
That is correct.
So if he can't take responsibility for himself, how is that her responsibility?
It's our responsibility as instructors and leaders of the school to reach out to these children and make them know that we have their back, regardless of where they stand, where they come from. So when I hear Mr. Fletcher say that he didn't feel supported, I resent that. And I feel bad that he didn't feel like he had the proper tools to communicate and do better in his classes.
Okay, well, from what Miss Greer has told me, she supported as much as she could. You uploaded everything for him to watch.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
You uploaded everything for him to watch for if he needed assistance. He had your personal phone number, correct?
Absolutely. And I have several students who I have watched improve, blossom, and bloom as a result of the data that I uploaded for them and my working with them personally, which I did. So I'm confused. I think Mr. Fletcher may come from a background where people make up for certain failures, shortfalls, and flaws in him and make excuses for him in ways other students' parents don't. And which I will add, the culture will not when he graduates, so unless his mother follows him everywhere. So in this particular situation, Judge, I don't understand what more I could have done, and I certainly don't understand why I needed to be terminated simply because Mr. Fletcher's parents weren't satisfied.
And Miss Greer, at this point, I would definitely, truly agree with you on that point. Now,
can I just add something else, Your Honor? Miss Greer is old school. It's old fashioned. When I took over as principal last year, my entire mission became about evolutionizing the school and making sure that every child feels heard, regardless of their cultural background, regardless of if the parents are wealthy or not. We have to pay attention to students as individuals, and I don't believe this was done in this case. So that's why I'm saying that Miss Greer, it's not only about Mr. Fletcher, but at the end of the day, the students need someone that's evolving with the times and understanding that in this modern society, it's not one size fits all. It's not for education. It's not for clothes. It's at the end of the day, these children have to be listened to a little bit more. And I don't believe Miss Greer embodies what we're standing for now at Washington High. So that is why I decided to terminate her. It's beyond this one student.
Okay, I've heard enough. Now, from what I hear, Miss Everett, it sounds like to me you're taking a brief moment for parental satisfaction instead of understanding what it is that child needs to do. His education is more important. Now, I do have a question for you. Did Mr. Fletcher's parents ask you to fire Miss Greer?
The Fletchers are wonderful people, and they would never make such a request. I think at the end of the day, what's important to focus on is the students, and are they doing well? And under Miss Greer, they are not doing well. He is not the only student that is failing.
Miss Everett?
Yes.
Yes or no? Did the parents ask you to fire Miss Greer for not changing the grades?
I think a lot of people would agree with me that Miss Greer is just not up to par with the mission.
Miss Everett, you're not answering. You're an educator, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so you understand how to follow instructions.
Yes, Your Honor.
I asked you a yes or no question. Answer me yes or no. Did the parents ask you to fire Miss Greer?
A lot of people are happy with Miss Greer's departure. I can say that.
That's enough for me. Look here. As the principal, you should be advocating for the child.
Yes, Your Honor.
Not for the parents who give you a library.
Well, the library is used by all our students, Your Honor.
I didn't ask you to speak. Listen here. It is more important for this child to know that hard work and what you know is more important than who you know. You as the principal should be siding with your teacher and telling that parent, hey, though we are friends and you get to this school, I need you to give more time to your child's education. Not punishing a teacher for doing what she was hired to do.
Your Honor, I do not blindsidedly just agree with my staff. At the end of the day, I have to take all parties into account. This is a wonderful family who helps the school tremendously. And if I see that a teacher is receiving complaints from anyone, that's when I take a closer look at the case.
You took a closer look at the case.
Yes, and believe that
Did
Ms.
you
Greer
see
is
that? Did you see Mr. Fletcher was failing his test?
Yes, Your Honor. He was
Did
not
you see
performing
that
well.
Ms. Greer had extra help out there with her personal number?
Not as much as it could have been.
Not as much. How much more could she did?
Like I said, different students have different circumstances. So at the end of the day, you can't have a rigid yes or no when it comes to teaching. It's all a spectrum, and there's different ways to approach different students. That is where I think Ms. Greer is too focused on her ways and her old school ways. And while she might have been a great teacher then, that is no longer the case.
Miss Everett, this is a high school student. I could understand if we were talking about a child in elementary learning. As a high school student, he is about to leave your school as an adult and has to function in this world.
Correct, Your
Now,
Honor.
So there's no hand holding out here in real life. That child has responsibilities of his own. If the child didn't do what he was supposed to do, the parents didn't do their responsibility, it is not this teacher's fault. So with that said, your counterclaim for $5,000
You protected the library, not the child. This is the line that's going to stick with you.
is dismissed. I am ruling in favor for you, Ms. Greer. The $72,000, she is to be reinstated, and any back payment lost is to be repaid. Do I make myself clear? Case dismissed.
I'm disappointed with the ruling today in the court, and while unfortunately I'm not pleased that Ms. Greer will be joining us again, I think she is a bit too old-fashioned for what our school is intended to do. I plan to welcome her nicely as I am with everyone, and hopefully this serves for the better of our students in the long term.
I'm so grateful this is over. All I have wanted to do was get back to my students. This has been demoralizing. I have lost my reputation, and for Judge Monroe to say what she said today, I think is a message to all educational institutions, but also to the teachers and also to students like Mark Fletcher. I'm hoping that going forward, I'll be able to continue working with my students and doing the best job that I've been able to do in the past. So thank you so much for this verdict, Judge Monroe.
Don't miss the next case. Subscribe to the Final Verdict TV